Hi, I'm Zara Altair, and this is Mystery Monday, where we chat about mysteries and writing mysteries. So, welcome and post your questions because I'll answer anything. And today I thought I'd talk about secrets. I'm going to do two parts of this. So, next week we'll do more secrets, but the first thing I want to talk about is the victim in your mystery. Your victim is actually a character in your mystery, even though they're gone, they're not with us anymore. But the victim has secrets, and those secrets get revealed as you go through the story. And so you want to have a really good handle on what those secrets are because their victim is the character around whom the whole novel revolves. And you need to know as much about your victim as you do about all the other characters. So when you're building your characters, you're going to have a background for your victim, and you're going to have all the traits that you would normally have for any other character in your story. So, because you really want the crime to be worthy of the story, and in order for that to happen, you need a good victim, just like you need a good villain and you need a good detective, you need a good victim. So you want to know what your victim's secrets are. You need at least two or three because they're going to be revealed as your story progresses. And they're going to be revealed through physical clues in the story and through dialogue from other characters, which is often really important about, revealing things, how other characters see the victim, what they think about the victim, what experience they had with the victim. And you may have some secrets about your victim that are red herrings. Somebody reveals something, or the detective discovers something, and it's a red herring. It doesn't really lead to solving the mystery and why that victim was killed. But it adds intrigue for your readers because your readers are what the story's all about. Um, so, what are the secrets? Maybe something that makes another character in the story seem guilty. So you get to play with these secrets really a lot in a mystery story. They're kind of the impetus that those secrets and what gets revealed and gets your detective, your sleuth looking, looking in your story, because in the middle of your story, you've got a lot of things for your sleuth to do and a lot of obstacles to overcome. So, red herrings, all those things, those are great ways to get your sleuth off on the wrong track. One of those secrets will turn out to reveal the villain's identity. And just like we talked last week about hiding clues in your mysteries that can do the same kind of thing with these secrets. A character can mention several things about the victim, and one of those things is the clue to the villain's identity, but at the time in the story, the sleuth doesn't get it yet. He or she may be off on a wrong track or something like that. So I'd love to hear what you have to say about victims, how you respond to victims in your mystery. And then I wanted to go on with a little bit about, I thought I'd add this to the mix of what we do on Mystery Monday is little things that I've read during the week that I could share with you that I thought might help. This is actually from Script Magazine. It's called Script Secrets. So I'm going to read it to you, but every time it says script, think story, because it's the same thing. And this is called The Subplot Prism in the Shape of Water, which is Guillermo del Toro's new wonderful film. So anyway, here's what William Martell had to say. To keep your script focused, you need to choose one external conflict, and your subplots will be part of that conflict, like splinter beams from a prism, so they go off. So I really, Tidy's back. He was here last week, and he's here again. And so, I'm sorry. So each beam illustrates a different aspect of the main conflict and a different step in the solution of the main conflict. So I really like this. I really like this concept. He goes on to say, dealing with each subplot moves your protagonist closer to the solution of the main plot, or each character's relationship to your protagonist may be a little story that helps to illustrate the theme of the big story. Each of these stories will have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So I know when I am kind of setting up my outline, I don't call it a plot because things happen as you're writing and kind of little shifts and changes. But in my outline, I do have the subplots, subplot A and subplot B, and I do create an arc for each of those subplots so I can fit in the little pieces of the subplot and interweave them in the story. So we have some questions, so let me get to those. I just had another question very similar to this over on Google Plus this morning. I'm writing my first mystery, and I know who did it and why, but I'm stuck with the middle and getting the story going. And boy, I'll tell you, that happens a lot, even to seasoned writers. The middle is a tough thing. So long ago, I just looked it up, it was 2010, I wrote an article called A Story Idea is Not a Plot, and it's going to be in the article, link to the article will be in the story notes for the show, which is Mystery Monday, and you'll find them in notes on my Facebook page. So here we go. So first, write a brief paragraph about your main character. This is, to get your story going because you've got the idea, but you don't know how to go from there. So write a brief paragraph about the main character. No backstory yet. Write about your character's current situation and any special talents and their current problem, because this is something that you're going to introduce early in the story. Keep the paragraph short and focus on the most important things: what she does, what he needs, what she wants, what he fears. You're just kind of getting an overview of your character. Now that you have the idea for your story, you want to kind of, get some more into your sleuth. And we talked about that a lot last week, about starting with your main character, your protagonist, your sleuth, to really delve into your mystery. And then decide on the central idea for the story. Select and list the points you want to pursue. So in a mystery, you're going to, those points are going to be, you know, who the suspects are. You know, you're kind of your cast of characters. And at the beginning, when you're starting out, that cast of characters, you may not have a person in mind, but you have a role in mind, all right? The victim's best friend, the victim's ex-wife. You just want to kind of get those pieces in place because later on, as you develop your characters, you can go in and be specific. But right now, you're looking at the role they play in the story. I hope that makes sense to you. So you want to look at the role they play in the story because then you can go ahead and flesh out those characters. So, and then, the middle. So you want to play with the middle. You can use pieces of paper, 3x5 cards, pages in a notebook, or, you know, an online story development software. I use StoryShop.io. I love it. But whatever you do with the middle, you want to come up with 60 to 70 scenes. I know that sounds like a lot, but you're going to toss some of them out. But right now, you're brainstorming your story. What could happen? This scene, that scene. You get an idea for a character dialogue, and somebody asks a question to your sleuth, or your sleuth has had trouble doing something, just like our illustration last week when he opened the door to the chicken coop and got attacked by the rooster. So you just want to come up with lots and lots and lots of ideas for what could happen in your story, because the next thing you're going to do is rearrange them in some kind of story order. And when you're just beginning like that and you have your story idea, don't worry about that too much. Just come up with, this is a real brainstorming exercise. Just come up with lots of ideas for things that can happen. And then the next thing is you're going to order them in how difficult they are for your sleuth or detective, because you want to build some rising tension in your story. First comes the brainstorming, 60 to 70 scenes. I know that sounds like a lot when you're just starting out, but I'm telling you, it's really going to help you put your story together when you get going. And then take some of the big scenes and kind of flesh them out. You know, what happens in that scene now that you have your 60 to 70 scenes? Take some of the big moments in the story and embellish those. So maybe it's a love scene or the place where all seems lost for the sleuth. He's just about to give up, or the big battle. Take those specific scenes because they're going to be part of your story and start, you know, building on them. Who's there? Where are they? Who says what? Is there a fight? You know, all those things. So those are great, great ways to get starting and building from your story idea to really starting to get a handle on creating your story and what happens in your story, so that you're building a story. You're going to build a story from your original idea. I hope that helped. And then I have another story, which is somebody at the other end of the spectrum. Is I finished my first draft. Now what? Well, you're not ready to send you're not ready to send your story out. That's the very first thing I want to tell you. Congratulations on finishing your draft. That's fantastic. And now it's time to take off your creative writing hat and put on your serious, logical editing hat. You want to read through your story and see if there are any places where something's missing, or as you read, it doesn't quite make sense, so you want to be able to fix that. And you just want to clean up your story in the kind of big picture way. Um, if there's a scene that really doesn't move the story forward, you want to take that out. Even though it may be some great writing, it just doesn't move the story forward. It's like those deleted scenes from films. It's the same thing. You take that deleted scene, you don't have to delete it yourself. You can put it over in an outtake file or something that you keep, where you keep all those scenes that didn't move the story forward because they may come in a different story, or you may want to do something with them. Or you may want to rework them so they do fit in the story. Lots of choices with those. And then the hard part for a lot of us creatives is looking at the actual writing, at the sentence structure, at typos, spelling, grammar, are the commas in the right places. And I find that it's really, really hard to edit your own work. So I find tools like Pro Writing Aid to review a lot of those things are really, really helpful. And then the very last recommendation I have for you is to, after you've done all those things, look for the big plot holes, look for the grammar and typo mistakes. So you're cleaning up your manuscript. The very last way you can do that, it's a really interesting process, is to use a voice reader. There's plenty of them that you can find, and bring up your manuscript on your computer, and as the voice reads the text, you will hear things that don't work. So you can stop the voice reading, make your changes. Maybe you have the word "the" typed twice, stuff like that, and that really comes out when you hear somebody else reading the story. This is Zara Altair, and this is Mystery Monday, where we chat about mysteries. So, okay. And then one last thing I wanted to do, following up on the secrets of your victim's secrets, is I want to read to you from, until I've had this a long time, Gorky Park by Martin Cruz Smith. And his detective is Arkady Renko. And I want to read a little piece about how he goes deeper into discovering the victim. You're lying, Arkady pressed. I swear I'm not. He was some fat old guy with stupid questions. He spoke great Russian, I'll say that, but I'm pretty much of an expert on spotting foreigners. So we walked through most of the park and stopped at a muddy field. On the north side of the park, off the path? Yeah. Anyway, I thought maybe he wanted some privacy to ask about a girl having a party. Understand? But he starts in about some exchange student, an American named Kirwil, I've never heard of. I only remember now because he kept asking. I told him. I meet a lot of people. That was it. The jerk walks off. Golodkin snapped his fingers, just like that. Anyway, as soon as I saw him, I knew he wasn't serious about buying icons. Why? He was so fucking poor. All his clothes were Russian. Did he describe what this Kirill looked like? Skinny, he said. Red hair. Everything was coming Arcady's way. Another American name, Osborne, and a black marketer. 2 open sesames. He telephoned Major Verblüda. I want information on American with the last name Kirwill. Kirwill. Verblüda took his time answering. That sounds more like my business, he finally said. I agree, absolutely, Arkady said. A specific alien was under investigation. How could there be any doubt who should investigate him? No, Prabhupada said, I'll give you more rope. You send your detective Fett around, I'll give him whatever I have. And then I'm going to skip a couple of paragraphs and get to when Arkady Orenko receives the dossiers. There were actually 2 dossiers. The first read, USA, passport, name, James Maine Kirwill, birth date 4/8/52, height 5'11", about 1.7 meters, Arkady calculated, wife XXX, minors XXX, birthplace New York, USA, eyes brown, hair red, issue date 2/5/74. The black and white passport photo showed a young, underweight man with deep-set eyes, wavy hair, a long nose, and a small, intense smile. The signature was tight and precise. Residence visa. James Maine Kirwill, citizenship USA, born same date, same place, profession, student of linguistics, object of stay, studies at Moscow State University, dependents, none, previous visits to USSR, none, relatives in USSR, none, home residence, 100 West 7th Street, New York, New York, USA. The same photo as in the passport was posted in a box on the right side of the visa. An almost identical signature. His fastidiousness was striking. Bureau of Records, State University of Moscow. Enrolled September 1974 for graduate studies in Slavic languages. Grades uniformly high. A tutorial report full of praise, but Komsomol report. J.M. Kirwill mixes overmuch with Russian students, displays too much great interest in Soviet domestic politics, Mao's anti-Soviet attitudes. Rebuked by the Komsomol's cell in his dormitory, Kirwill pretended to hold anti-American attitudes as well. Clandestine searches of his room uncovered material by the religious writer called Aquinas and a Cyrillic edition of the Bible. So you get the idea. There's more in the dossier, but you get the idea. First, he didn't even know who the victim was. Very hard to identify in the very first scene. And now he's getting all these details about what he looked like and his red hair, and as a student causing trouble in the university, and so he was under observation by the Russian government. This is a really great mystery, Gorky Park, if you haven't read it, and if you're thinking, here we go, sorry, going the wrong way, Gorky Park by Martin Cruz Smith. Of course, if you're writing mysteries, reading mysteries is just a great way to understand pacing, how characters are revealed, how characters interact, how dialogue works. And one of the great things about reading a lot of mysteries is doing a check on yourself and your writing and saying, I just would never do that in a story. My sleuth just doesn't act like that. So it's a good way to kind of check on your work as you're going, as you're reading, and you can also get, sometimes when you're stuck in a story, you can also get ideas about how to proceed. So highly recommend reading while you're writing. Um, so I don't see any more questions for today. So I want to thank everybody for being here, and don't forget you can go over to my author page and subscribe to get notifications for Mystery Monday so you won't miss one. You'll get notifications from Messenger. And also tell your friends who are writers, please tell them about this show because I love doing it. And I encourage questions. You don't have to wait till Monday to send me questions. You can send me questions at any time on Twitter or Facebook. Just tell me it's a question for Mystery Monday, and I will save it for next week. So thank you very much for joining, and I will see you next week. All right. Thank